I kind of doubt that. I don't think anybody's going to be able to hold a grudge that long. Long
But
past. Well, maybe get you started. Where there's generally guys are kind of fall in two categories: the ones that like to go out with a lot of girls and don't settle in on one, and then the other type, which is usually ones that always have a girlfriend, kind of thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I
They have a
never
girlfriend
had.
for a long time, and then they break up, and then they find someone particular else.
Yeah,
They're more the girlfriend type instead of the lots of girls type.
I know. Yeah.
What were you, and how?
Well, I couldn't date too much because I was in a band. You know that. Well, no, wait. At 15, I wasn't in the band. But by the time I'm 17, I'm engrossed in band and music, and I was in aviation. I'll tell you, girls were a little late getting to me because I was too busy with other things, music and flying and stuff like that. And I loved their attention because, like I say, I was something of a little notorious around the school, but I didn't have a lot of time for them. And I double dated when I did. We went to dances and things. But usually when the dances are on, I'm playing. They're all the popular Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights when the dances were on, I'm playing. So it's difficult to have a date. So I didn't probably have as many dates as most kids did. And but
Would you have a girlfriend that or did they even do that back? Did people
they had girls.
settle in on
One
person?
yeah,
when they
sure.
were teenagers and just
Sure.
date one person kind of thing.
Well, when in my later teenagers, let's see, when I was 18 or so, and 19, during that time, yes, I had a steady girlfriend. She, Frances Dirth, and we got along great. She came from a very poor family that lived up along the river somewhere, the Mississippi River, north of town. And she was the housekeeper for a family of Johnsons. He was an optimist, not an optimist, optometrist. Had a business downtown. And that was right next door to my Aunt Anna Boston's house over on Denison Avenue. And the reason I mention that is that we couldn't have the lights on in the house and smooch with the shades up because I was afraid Aunt Anna might see what was going on over there. So we had to be careful about that. But anyhow,
You didn't want it to get back to the family that you had a girlfriend?
Oh, no, no.
Or was kissing just a little taboo?
Well, yeah. And we'd dance and so forth and so forth. And,
What's so forth?
well, never mind. But anyhow, we went to a lot of dances on the nights we did head off because Frances was a great dancer. She was really great. And we had a lot of fun. You know, I'm so sorry for the way we ended our romance. While I was going with her, I started playing in Springfield, Illinois. And when we'd go down there, we'd go down there for months at a time, and she'd be home. And so when I'd come home, boy, it was a big event, and everything else. And so anyhow, one time while we're down in Springfield, I fall for your grandmother. She came around to the dances, and one thing I remember is she had a little tam-type hat with a white ball on top of it, and she always wore it. See, so I could always see where she was around the hall. See, so I got talking to her, and we started going together, and that was a crazy romance too, because I worked at night down there. We worked every night except Monday night. So she would wait till the band was over and the dance was over, and then I'd take her home. She lived not too far from downtown when we were playing downtown. I'm going to have to stop pretty soon and get a little drink of water. But let me finish this. I really fell for your grandmother, really fell for her. And in fact, we got to a point where we was talking about getting married. And geez, one thing leads to another. Now I got to tell you about her father. He was one of the grandest men I ever knew. Really great. He had a good smile on his face, a great sense of humor. He had all kinds of trials and tribulations in that family. Three deaths. They had 7 children. 3 of them died. A long smallpox or diphtheria thing where he was kept out of the house. He couldn't get in. And he'd just come and talk to them. And months this went on, from one kid to the other. And they quarantined the house. Nobody could get in. And he finally retired while we were in San Diego in 1936. After I left the band, we went to San Diego. We'll get into that a little later. But anyhow, while we were out there, he had bought his first car. He had never had a car. He rode the bicycle back and forth to work. He was a mailman. And so after we left, he bought himself a car and learned how to drive. And one day he was driving the thing and he got on the railroad tracks, and for some reason or other the car died. And he would have had plenty of time to get out of that car, because, and people kept yelling at him, get out. But he wanted, it's his car. He didn't want it to get smashed. So he tried to get it to go, and he waited too long, and he got killed. And that was a real tragedy, because Mom had lost her husband. He had died, which would have been a stepfather of mine. And so she was available, and we always thought what a great deal it would be if those two got together. And they would have. They would have made a great pair, because Mom was a great woman, had a great sense of humor. They would have had a wonderful life together, but he died. He got killed. But that's off the beaten path. Now let's get back to the romance with your grandmother. That's funny to call her a romance with your grandmother. She was Helen. She was a good-looking gal. She was young and sexy, and she had everything.
Well, you were gonna say how it broke off with Frances.
Oh yes, I know, but I want to impress you with the fact that I'm smitten now with your mother. So Fran knows I'm coming home. So what does she do? She makes a great big roast and everything else, and big dinner for me.
And how old were you at this time?
20 or 21.
And you'd been going with Frances for...
Yeah. I'd been going with her for a couple of years or more.
So you were the girlfriend type then?
Yeah,
more so.
Yeah, later on.
I guess
not so much in high school, but later on. And so anyhow, I come up to knock on the door, and here she's standing there. Boy, she looks like an angel. She's dressed in some slinky-looking thing, and ready to grab me, you know. And I say, wait, I got to tell you something. And so I told her about Helen. And boy, I'll tell you, her face dropped down. I still see that. I could almost cry when I recount that moment. And then to make matters worse, she tried to revive it, because while I was home there, I was living on 13th Street, and she would come over there to see me. And she'd walk. And that was a pretty good walk, about 1.5 miles. Mom loved her. They got along great. And so anyhow, I saw her coming, I was out the back door. So she came over. Every time she came over, she'd have to see Mom. And Mom felt so sorry for her. And she said, what a horrible guy you are. But I couldn't face her anymore. It was so traumatic to leave her. I didn't want to have to leave her again and again, you know. And so that poor gal, I felt sorry for her ever since. One of the bad things in my life that I did. But how could I do otherwise? My heart switched. and that was the result. So there you are. Now you got all of the good stuff out of me.
Not so good stuff. Well, let's take a break.
Yeah, let's do that.
But I do want to talk a little bit. I'm just going to leave this on for a second. Because we need to decide how personal we want to get here into your personal life and stuff.
You're getting snotty, you know that.
I know, but that's my job.
Oh, it is, huh? Well, I got a job, and that is to...
Because, well, the more personal and things like that, I don't know. I mean,
What do you mean?
we're
Explain
talking
what you... Give me an example of what you mean by personal.
Well,
That's pretty
you wanna-
broad and vague.
You want to talk about the first time you had sex, and if it was before marriage?
I don't know whether I ever had a first time.
That, for example, and then I guess that's kind of like maybe the most personal.
You know, you
and then
sound-
we'll get into other things.
You sound like a modern producer, you know. You put everything you can in there and hope that just fall what may, regardless of who sees it or anything else. You gotta remember, I've got grandchildren. Well, you're one of them, and I got great-grandchildren. And before I leave this mortal soil, I may have great-great-grandchildren. And
Good possibility.
hopefully
absolutely.
they'll want to see this thing. I want them to think I was a great guy, honest and above board, you know. And you want to pull all the dirt out. Jeez,
Well,
you sound like that Stone guy.
I don't want to get. I'm sure none of your daughters necessarily would like to hear it, but
Well,
I don't know. It's still a different perspective.
yeah. Well, now I've written-
It was a different time than
yeah,
now. Do you know
I've
what I
written
mean?
about it. Yeah, I know it's a different time. It was a different time.
And you have the unique perspective to have lived it. And
Well, that's true. I mean, I shouldn't worry too much because you people, you kids, you and even the younger ones will be worse, are bathed in sex these days. I mean, my gosh, it's all over the place, on the TV and everything else.
everything from
And
day one.
yeah, and then, boy, I can't believe what I'm hearing, some of these things on TV. And the president involved in oral sex. Now, isn't that a great thing to be in national news? But like I say, I'm still of the old school, and I think there's two things about sex, and that is, one is that it's not dirty, and the other thing is it's personal. And maybe I'm old-fashioned enough that I think it's not for everybody's ears. It's not that what I did is any worse than anyone else is doing or anything else, but like I say, it's a private part. But I'll go part of the distance with you. And so we'll get into some of that if you like, but right now I need something for this dry throat of mine.
Okay. Fair enough.